Call this meeting together, December 16, 2014, Lee County Board of Supervisors, regular session. First thing, we have the department reports from the Economic Development Director, Mr. Michael James.
Thank you. Good evening. As many of you know, 2014, one of the primary focuses for the IDA has been local entrepreneurs and supporting them. We've assisted 5 local businesses with either openings or expansions so far and have at least one more on track for the first quarter. We also in August began featuring a Spotlight Business of the Month at our monthly meetings. So far we've had the Country Porch, Kent's Flooring, Pizza Plus of Rose Hill, and Southwest Heating and Air. If there's any business owner that would like to be our Spotlight Business of the Month in a future month, they should contact my office. The IDA feels very strongly that assisting local entrepreneurs with job creation will continue to be a top priority. Nationally, businesses with less than 10 employees create over 1 million jobs each year. There's still no word from the state on our enterprise zone designation application that the county and the IDA applied for back in June. The decision was supposed to have been rendered on September 30th, but it's still in the backlog right now. The lady that ran that program resigned kind of suddenly there the first week of October, and I don't think they've recovered yet. There are about 27 localities competing for 5 slots this time around, so hopefully we're going to have to hurry to get it announced before it begins effective July 1, so hopefully we'll get that in the next few days. Have some employment opportunities to announce. Lee Health and Rehab in Pennington. They're still looking for CNA and LPN license holders. They're going to be holding bi-weekly job fairs. Bi-weekly is every 2 weeks. I get bi and semi-confused all the time myself, but bi-weekly is every 2 weeks. That'll be at the Norton office of the Virginia Employment Commission. They've also been advertising in the Powell Valley News, I know, as well. Also, the Inn at Wise had their grand opening last week, and they projected they were going to hire 40 employees, but they already have 53, and they're still looking for more. They're accepting applications continuously. Also, the Virginia Employment Commission office in Norton is handling that. 276-679-9413 is their phone number. So that's either Lee Health and Rehab or the Inn at Wise. No mining jobs in our area have kind of been dwindling, but there are mining jobs available in other areas. Murray Energy is a company that's looking for 20 to 30 experienced miners for work in the Wheeling, West Virginia area. Anyone interested in that, the VEC office in Tazewell County is handling that. And their number is 276-964-4006. That's Cedar Bluff is where that office is in Tazewell County. And that's work in the Wheeling, West Virginia, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. So wish it was local, but you know, still if you're a miner out of work, that would be a good opportunity to make some money. Also, the IDA, we would like to congratulate 48 local people who have received their GED within the last few months. That includes 12 Lee County citizens through the Regional Adult Education Program, as well as 36 inmates at the federal prison. Education is the single largest factor that you can control to enhance your prosperity. So again, we congratulate all 48 of those folks. As everybody has seen, construction is continuing at both O'Reilly Auto Parts Store in Pennington and the Stone Mountain Health Systems Clinic in Jonesville. O'Reilly's was supposed to have been open by now. They ran into a site foundation issue there. They have the solution mapped out and planned. They don't have it. They're still working on it, so they should be open, you know, within a few weeks. There, they are accepting applications for employment now, so hopefully they'll be open very shortly. The Coalfields legislative reception is scheduled for Thursday, January 22nd in Richmond at the Omni Hotel. All the Board of Supervisors members are invited and encouraged to attend. It's a great opportunity to get some face time with our state and local elected officials and federal elected officials as well. Governor McAuliffe has committed to be there. Senator Warner has committed to be there, so we look forward to that. And again, encourage all of you to attend. I think Mr. Poe is going to cover that in his part of the meeting as well. On a macroeconomic basis, you know, gas prices are 69 cents lower per gallon now than they were this time last year. So if you drive 18,000 miles a year, which is about an average number, get 25 miles to the gallon, that's $497 savings for you. Then again, of course, that's after taxes, so that's about $700 before taxes. So there's a huge correlation nationally between consumer sentiment, consumer outlook, and gas prices. When gas prices go down, everybody's in a better mood, everybody's more positive about the economy. Conversely, when gas prices go up sharply, it's the opposite. Everybody's more negative, more pessimistic. So that's certainly been a good thing. You know, a lot of Lee County citizens, we have about 8,000 folks every day that commute they live in Lee County and they commute outside the county to go to work. So certainly if you have a 20, 30, 40 mile commute, that's good news. And most of the experts project that will remain at least the first 6 months of 2015. Simple supply and demand equation. There's much more supply right now. There's, a lot of the shale deposits, the fracking and all that have been bearing fruit in North Dakota and Canada and places like that. All that gas has just made it through the processing and is into the market now. Meanwhile, the OPEC countries have decided to keep their production high. I think they're trying to drive the new guys out of business by keeping the price low, so that's good for the consumers in the short run. So at least the first 6 months of the next year, gas prices are expected to stay fairly low. Planning and zoning wise, we had 27 zoning permits so far this month, or so far this quarter. So it's been very active. A lot of people building additions and building decks and things like that. Been 1 variance and 2 special use permits so far as well this quarter, and I have visited 4 properties to assist property owners with their zoning issues. I also just want to say on a personal note to all the board and the citizens of Lee County, wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And it's a great time of the year. It's the most wonderful time of the year, to quote the old song, and it's my favorite Christmas song, so it's kind of corny, but I like it. So, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
The coal processing business that we talked about earlier, are they operating or?
They're not operating yet. On target for March or April to start production. They're going to start construction. They want to start construction the last week of January, but of course that's really weather dependent. But sometime around there, March or April, they'll be in business.
Still go.
Yeah. We've they've had our first disbursement from the Tobacco Commission on that, got that approved and got the check, so everything's still on track for that to begin in late first quarter, early second quarter. And that will be 5 jobs. They're all temporary, but they're very good paying jobs, so that's something that we'll be announcing here in a few weeks officially.
Those are specialized jobs?
They are. The 4 of them, they're basically coal processing jobs. Anybody that has that, there's a lot of those folks that work at Lone Mountain now, that type skill set would be primarily what they're looking for.
Anybody else have any questions? Well, thank you.
Thank you.
For sure. Next, tourism. Ashley Seals.
Good afternoon. I'm so glad to be here. Feels like I haven't spoken to you all in several months. So my report is, it doesn't look brief, but it actually is in terms of what we have been doing. And the way that I've set this up is current projects and then what you can expect in 2015 and maybe some training and things that I've done. But the current projects that we're working on now, the first one is our brochure and website. As you all know, that's been one of the major pushes for our office, is to get a brochure and a website that is informational and helpful to the public. And so the committee approved the funds in May to go ahead with the brochure. We've chosen Stallard Studios to do both of those. In addition to that, we applied for and was awarded an MLP grant from Virginia Tourism Corporation, and that grant is going to cover $2,500 of the $5,400 that it's going to cost for the brochure and the website. So that was really appreciated. The Virginia Tourism Corporation is a huge ally for local, for a local tourism office. And those MLP grants come up so often, and we plan to pursue those every opportunity that we get. The tourism committee is reviewing the second draft of the brochure, and I'm going to apologize. When I printed off the first draft and the second draft, somewhere in the shuffle, the back part of the brochure got cut off. So those of you who have email, I'll email you the actual colored copy. But basically, the first draft that came through had a picture of me on the front of it. I personally just didn't feel comfortable with it. The committee was okay with it because I'm actually not producing the brochure whatsoever. Stallard Studios is, and I have no connections with them whatsoever. But after a conversation with Jim Stallard, I submitted several other photos to take that place. And if you'll turn over the first draft, the second draft, I'm out of. Thank you, good Lord. Also, we changed some of the wording. The back side of the brochure is going to have a map on it, and it's going to have all of the numbered dots, and all the numbered dots are going to coordinate with all of the numbers and how to get a hold of people and what's there, and if you can take a picnic, or if you want to take a hike, or so on and so forth. And it will, of course, have our I Love Lee logo, and the theme of our brochure is sports and fiddles. I know you can't tell a lot from our black and white. We don't have a color copier, but it's actually a very beautiful brochure. Originally, there was a lot of people shots in it, and we haven't been able to, we don't have a huge library of great photos, and that's something else that we're working on. And so we submitted some more scenic photos that will coordinate with some of the stops as well. So the committee seems to, and Mr. Slink could speak to that, but the committee seems pretty pleased with the brochure. It's very, very pretty, and it's very informational, and that's what we wanted. We wanted someone to open it up and be able to identify the stops and identify what's here. And of course, all of my information is in it as well if they have any questions or comments. But the projected day for start production, if on Thursday the committee agrees that the changes that were made is sufficient, will be probably January, February, when they will start actually producing the brochure. And Mr. Stallard assured me that once the brochure is agreed upon, that the website will follow within just a few days. They've already got the template of the website up. He just wants to make sure that this is the style that we're going to go for. He wants the brochure and the website to be coordinated together, so everything kind of goes hand in hand. Would you all like to answer questions on each thing, or to wait till the end to ask questions? Okay. The next thing is the Appalachian Backroads brochure, and what this is a project that the Heart of Appalachia has been working on. Last year, they produced 35,000 of these brochures, and what they are is basically what they say, Appalachian Backroads. It is a map for motorcycles or sports cars, or really anyone that's wanting to kind of get out on the back roads and tour around and see what there is to find. And what they've basically done is they went through and they found roads that don't have potholes and don't have gravels in the way, that are okay for motorcycles to be on, and they put it into a brochure. Myself, I rode with one of the committee members of the Heart of Appalachia, and also the executive director at one point, and we've added 5 more routes, and because the first brochure only had 1 route of Lee County in it, and I'm not really sure why it did, but we have at least 5 to 6 routes, and the executive director said that she's adding another one that she just seen on the map. So we have several routes in there. We did attempt to sell ads in Lee County because it has proven to be effective. This brochure is effective. They produced 35,000 and they were gone in a year. One of the hotels in Norton that advertised said that they increased by 100%. I mean, some huge number. They had like 5 and then they ended up having 60 last year. So the committee paid to have an advertisement in the heart of Appalachia, in the Appalachian Backroads brochures. And so Lee County is going to have a 3-inch ad, which is going to be great for us. So they know some stopping points, some places they can eat, friendly service, and so on and so forth. And another Mother's Place, they advertised as well in Pennington. They're doing great things. So we are going to be in that. We are very excited about that. I think that that's going to be very successful. The next big thing is the Crooked Road Mountains of Music, and this is actually, in my opinion, one of the biggest things that's coming up for Lee County. And what it is June 12th through the 20th, the Crooked Road has set that aside as the Mountains of Music throughout the Crooked Road region. And they are paying a regional or a national act to come to the Lee Theater on Sunday the 14th and perform. But the real kicker here, I guess, for lack of a better word, is that we are able to attach cultural events to that. So as we've talked about making a weekend of just events that can go throughout Lee County, this is going to be our opportunity. With the help of the Crooked Road, they're going to advertise our events. So, and cultural experiences are so broad. They can be a pancake dinner, they can be a session on the lawn, they can be a concert, they can be a reenactment. They can be so many things. So we've had 2 community meetings so far, and we have partnered as of right now with Wilderness Road State Park. They are going to, on the weekend of the Lee Theater concert, they are going to have a concert, and they are going to have, this is all contingent on everything as goes as planned, but they plan to have a concert, they plan to have a quilt show, and they plan to have reenactment as far as showing you how to be blacksmith, woodwork, all of that type of stuff. In addition to that, there have been some civic groups that may be interested in doing pancake dinners or doing barbecues. The Lee County Historical Society are talking about being open the entire weekend so people can come in and out, and the town of Jonesville has discussed having a session on the lawn. So what the idea is that on Friday night you have a concert down at Wilderness Road, a reenactment, all of that. On Saturday day you have a pancake for breakfast in Jonesville, and you have a session on the lawn, and then Sunday you have the concert at the Lee Theater. So the Crooked Road does a lot of the advertisement, but of course we're going to do a lot of local advertisement, possibly with the the television radio station in Harrogate, WCYB. We're going to try to get on there, but we're going to promote this as a weekend destination, as you need to be in Lee County on this weekend because there's so much to do. You're not going to have time to do it all. And the Crooked Road prints a pamphlet for us with all of the information of each cultural event that's approved. And if anybody, any civic groups, church groups, any of that nature is wanting to do any type of event, like I said, it's very broad. Cultural events are meant to just interact with our tourists and talk to them and eat with them, and that's cultural. And so and all of those proceeds go straight to whoever wants to put it on. The concert at Lee Theater, 20% goes to the Crooked Road because they're paying all of it, but anything cultural goes to that group. So the more things we have going on, the better outcome I think that we're going to have. So I think that's what I had for that. We launched our Facebook page in September, and we've got a lot of positive feedback. We have 688 likes, which is actually doing really well for the page, for what it represents and how long that it's been up. There are some posts that we get over 1,000 views on, and photography being a key component. And the reason I say that is another component that the committee is focusing on is we are working to get a photographer that takes wonderful pictures that can be used on virginia.org, that can be used on Facebook, that can be used on Twitter, so on and so forth. Because those pictures have proven with VTC and ourselves that they are the ones that are viewed. Posting events aren't as popular, but you put a beautiful picture and contact information and people love it and they share it. So the Facebook page has actually been really helpful to us. We did launch our Twitter page just a month after that, and it's been somewhat successful. We have plenty of followers. Twitter just works differently. You don't really have the data to really see how well you're doing. Facebook is different. They supply you with all the data that you need. If they're female, if they're male, where they're from, what their interests are. You can actually advertise to them. So we're real excited about that. What to expect in 2015? A newsletter. We're going to do our very best by March of 2015 to have a newsletter and to hopefully have an email list large enough to send that newsletter out. And it's basically going to be a variety of different things, upcoming events that's happened, featured local businesses, featured stories, things like that. I'm going to work on updating listings, which is very, very important. At my Virginia Tourism Corporation orientation, that is the key that they kept on and on and on, is that if you want virginia.org to advertise you, which they get 500,000 hits a month, if you want them to advertise you for free, then put a nice listing on. Have a great photo, have information. And so in the first part of 2015, I'm going to work solely to get every business that is a tourism business, every location, every attraction on there, so that when they do blogs and they do stories, they can pull our information. Since I've been to that orientation, which was in September, we have been featured on virginia.org 3 times. So, and one of the times was Wilderness Road State Park, their haunted dinner, and they sold out. They sold out 6 times, and they have 43 or 40 some people on the list for next year. So virginia.org is a huge resource to us, and so that's why the first part of 2015, once the brochure is produced and the website's produced, that's my focus, is to get all of these businesses on there with their pictures and what they cook good and why you should go there so that they can blog about us. Let's see. The Crooked Road approved venues, that's something that we're going to work on. We're going to work, if Wayne's Place would like to be in Hubbard Springs, we're going to work to get Wayne's Place on there. And the Lee Theater. We have no affiliate approved venues on the Crooked Road, and that's just unfortunate. We're going to be advertising regionally through Facebook. The committee is going to allow us to focus. Like I said, we can narrow it down to gender, interest, where they're located, so on and so forth. So we're going to advertise there. Be at more events, guest speakers. I had the honor of speaking at the Crooked Road press conference this past week, and it was phenomenal. I was honored to do it because I got to talk about our people and why people should come here and why the Crooked Road's important and why we are important and why they need to know us. And of course the ATV trail and the Greenways walking trail are going to come open in 2015. And as you can see, I've been to several orientations and tobacco festivals and so on and so forth. And I mentioned that we've been featured on virginia.org. So believe it or not, that is actually in a nutshell. So if you all, I know there's a lot, you may have a lot of questions. I've attached our page, I've attached the frequently asked questions for the homecoming, and I've attached the workshops and trainings and meetings that I've attended, and also when we were in the news, I've attached why we were in the news and who published us. So hope that's helpful. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I like where you mentioned about how important it is that you have quality photographs for Virginia.org.
Absolutely. One of the things that I presented to our committee is that we need quality photographs. And the reason that we need those, like I said, the Virginia.org, whenever they go to blog something, we know how beautiful the White Rocks are. But if they go to the White Rocks listing on virginia.org, and our listing is basically, it just says what it is, a picture and why you should go there and what's there. If they go there and that picture is not of good quality, it does not matter how amazing it is or how much they should blog about it, they're not going to. They need quality photos. Actually, when I went to VTC orientation, which I must say is the most beneficial training I've been to as a professional, period, they told me this. So I updated Cowan Mill, which is in Ewing, when I got back. I just had a few minutes, so I just uploaded a photo by Lee County native Harold Gerald, and they blogged about it within 2 weeks. And she emailed me and she said, Ashley, I love these photos. Lee County is beautiful. We want to blog about you. Tell me what you have. And so that's why the listings are so important. That's why it's important to have beautiful photographs. And I can go to my office right now and show you on our statistics on Facebook. You upload a beautiful quality photo by someone such as Harold Gerald or anyone that quality, you get 1,200 views. You upload a photo that I took, tried to do well, and you get 300 views. It proves itself out. And so that's why the committee and I have been working to be sure that we have a library. A library of photos is not intended to be made overnight. It's ideally supposed to go over years and years of collecting amazing photos, and then after a few years you can just pull from that library. We do not have that. And so that's what we're trying to work with local photographers to get beautiful photos that we can upload to the listing, and that I can, because I do it, whether it works or not, I do it. I'll see a beautiful photo and I'll shoot it to someone at VTC and say, hey, remember me? You met me at the orientation. This is a beautiful photo, and this is what it is, and this is why you should blog about it. If you have any questions, call me. So it actually does work sometimes. So to have those quality photos, the committee and I have been working to get those, sometimes at somewhat of a cost, nothing extravagant, but you have the rights to those photos and you can use them, and you can use them for anything. You use them in a brochure, you can use them on your website. Once you pay for them, you can use them for anything you want, and they're just extremely important to promotion in general.
Yeah, I'd like to mention that until this year, 2014, they didn't have anything from Southwest Virginia on there. And with the help of Ashley and Heart of Appalachia Tourism, now we have something from Southwest Virginia, air part of Southwest Virginia on there.
And they really are, if I may, they really want to work with us, and I mean that. They email me sometimes and they're like, please say that you have a beautiful holiday photo of the streets of one of your town, and I'm like, I don't. I'm so sorry, but I can give you this photo. This is of this. So yeah, Charlie's exactly right. They're looking for it, and they do feature us. They didn't feature us in an article last week, but on the 10th they quoted me on one of their blogs, which helps, to see Lake County tourism. So we're doing.
Do you know what, right off the top of your head, what's on the back page of the brochure?
Yes, I do. The second draft is the top of it, and I'll email that to you as well when I get to my office. The top of it has a map of Lee County, and it has a highlighted road going through the county. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 17. I think we ended up with 18.
Yeah, you mentioned that. So maybe I should just ask specifically,
Okay.
Is Cave Springs on there?
Cave Springs is on the dots. And it has a mention. There is a stop at Cave Springs.
Okay.
There's not a photo of Cave Springs.
We need to get one.
Yeah, because we don't. I went and took photos of Cave Springs personally, and I thought they were great photos. But the marketing place said that they weren't quality enough photos to use. So I can definitely talk to our photographer and see if he would go take one. I don't know how beautiful it would be at this time unless there's snow on the ground.
Yeah. Is it too late to get it in for the brochure?
It's not too late if the photographer can get up there and do it, because we're kind of sometimes,
I know,
but
would Harold would have a shot of that? Not. I doubt it.
I will
bet he
email
does.
and ask him.
You think he
I'll
does?
email him and ask him.
And that's one thing I think, you know, you might could tap into some of his archives, because, I mean, he's got pictures of everything.
He does, and we've been talking this week as well about getting me some photos for winter for the site and stuff, and so I will ask him specifically. I've actually, when I do need a photo, I've actually emailed him, and he obviously responds, but I'll try to ask him specifically about case rooms and see if we have a photo that's of good enough quality.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Actually, one thing I'd like to see us work on, and I know we've got the one major event scheduled there in June, but we've still not really piggybacked Martin's Station Raid very much there. And I think it'd be an opportunity for the people that do crafts and the craftsmen here in the county, you know, to maybe do something that weekend throughout Lee County also. That's one thing we've kind of talked about.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea on the June the 12th through the 20th to make it an all-day event. And I think we could probably do the same thing, and instead of having one big event, have two major events a year. And I think Martin Station, I mean, we get between 8,000 and 10,000 people a weekend, that weekend down there.
Right.
You know, and if we can get them all up through here, maybe to give our, like I said, we've got a lot of crafters here in the county that make stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that would give them an opportunity to plan ahead. If you, I mean, you know, if we did it, you know, started on it now, I mean, it would give us, you know, 5 or 6 months, you know, to work on this. And I think it'd really be good, and it would help them too. I mean, it would give them a place to sell their stuff too, without having to go out of town somewhere.
Right. Are you talking more of like the day after the raid having something?
No, I think you do it that whole weekend. I mean, you know, make it a weekend event, just kind of like you're doing, you know, here on the 12th to the 20th of June, and maybe do the same thing. It's usually like the 9th and 10th of May.
Okay.
Those 2 days, but you know, everybody's in town that Friday, you know, and you know, maybe even the people that's doing the raid would like something to do, you know. I mean, you could do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event through to coincide with the raid at Martin Station, and you know, you can take them from the western end, you know, all the way to the eastern end.
Right.
Did anybody here get an opportunity to go over to Stickleyville Christmas Bazaar? Well, I spent $200 over there on Christmas presents, and you're talking about craftsmen. That both the old gymnasium and the cafeteria, the new building, and all of the schoolrooms over there was full of craftsmen. And you're right, we got craftsmen,
Yeah, we got a lot in the
a
county.
lot of them. And that parking lot was full of cars. I mean, you had to find, hunt to find a parking lot. And it was something. It was great.
I think if we could pull off 2 major events, I think
Yeah.
that would be a really good start here for us.
Our
Like I said, you've already got 10,000 on the western end, you know, let's just ease them on up through here and get them to spend a little money while they're here.
Right.
A lot of people out of Tennessee and Kentucky come to that raid.
Yeah, a craftsman needs places to show their wares and sell them.
And we, Wilderness Road is extremely easy to work with. Scott Bowen has done a tremendous job down there, and like I said, we had the community meeting for the Crooked Road, and he was the first to be on board with it. So we can definitely work with him to get something going and to make sure that we don't interrupt what he's got going, but piggyback off of it, like you said.
I think that's the same thing we were talking about for the tobacco festival, just the other way around. You know, sort of, you've got one event going on there, early spring, and then you've got this one in the fall, and and this is exactly, I think, what we were talking about before, is you want to have other things going on the whole weekend.
Right.
You know, come out and have a pancake breakfast and do a barbecue and do, maybe we used to do movies in the park, you know, try to get somebody to do that again. Just maybe 3 events that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Wilderness Road had a pretty big event whenever the tobacco festival was going on. And so I'm not sure, I'd have to talk to Scott, but I'm not sure if that helped or hurt,
I wondered
maybe,
about that.
maybe move it to the same weekend, but move it to a different night. I mean, of course, I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone.
Right.
I'm just,
planning.
yeah, so.
Good to coordinate and.
Yeah, because we really do have an asset with Wilderness Road State
do.
Park. And Jonesville, I went to their town meeting and spoke to them about being a partner. And they have a beautiful venue, a beautiful setup. That is great for an outdoor session or a movie or anything of that nature. So if we can build these partnerships that are strong, then if we wanted to do a weekend in addition to the Crooked Road weekend, if we wanted to do that, it's when you have other people helping and willing to contribute, it's much easier to have a huge event like that. And so
Right.
we'll continue to build those
And
relationships.
when you can plan on it.
Right.
You know, instead of like, well, maybe this might happen this year, maybe not, but just people plan on, hey, that weekend, we know what we're doing.
Right.
You know, because there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on. Or the people that wanna sell stuff or put on a performance, make them wanna pick that weekend. So we
Right.
can just do everything then.
Right.
But thank you. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And I'm excited.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your hard
Good
work.
job, Ashley. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay, constitutional officers, we have a treasurer report here to look at. Okay, public expression. Do we have anybody here that want to speak to us? Go ahead, come on up. State your name and you have a few minutes to talk to us.
Jay Gordon Stapleton, and I just wanted to stop in and basically extend collectively to all of you my appreciation for all that you've done over the last year, and to my supervisor in the 6th district, or the 5th district, Tina Rowe specifically. Again, I think people are ready to come in and complain when things aren't going the way they like them, but very seldom do you see people showing up and giving praise for all the behind-the-scenes effort as well as the efforts that are publicized that you folks do. And I just wanted to, again, wish all of you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday, and thank you for all that you've been doing.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, anybody else? All right, approval on the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at them? If you have, I open the floor for a motion to approve.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, approval of refunds. I have one for Jerry Lee Packley.
Mr. Chairman, I'm also distributing a second one. This came in the day after the board packet went out, and because it was, it involves an estate, I wanted to go ahead and try to process it through if possible.
Okay, is that Randall Hammonds?
That's the estate of Jack Hall.
Yeah, it's the estate of Jack Hall. The
Okay.
executor is.
Okay, Randall, okay. All right. I hear a motion to approve both of these.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Payroll. Do I hear a motion to,
That doesn't require any action.
Okay,
It's just a
all right.
report.
okay, approval of distributions.
Make a motion to pay the bills, Mr. Chairman.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have resolution 14-034. The Lee County Board of Supervisors has approved the Head Start budget, Lee County Public School budget, and Virginia Public Assistance budget.
I'm going to make a motion we approve resolution 14-034.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we did the payroll. Okay. Approval of distributions. Okay, fine. Well, we next to new business. Our board appointments. We got Virginia Water Authority. I'd like to table that until the next meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Southwest Virginia Elementary Emergency Medical Service.
Chairman, I make a motion, we reappoint Frida Ayers of Union, Virginia.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Southwest Virginia Workforce Investment.
Mr. Mosley, you want back on there?
Yeah.
I make a motion, we appoint Mr. Larry Mosley to that.
I'll second. Jason seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Southwest Virginia Workforce Investment.
That's the one you just.
Okay. Did we do Southwest Virginia Emergency Medical Service?
Yes, we're down to the regional jail.
Okay.
We got all Southwest Virginians on there together, they're running together.
Okay, Southwest Virginia Regional Jail Authority. Do I hear a motion for an appointment for someone? Or are we gonna table this
Does it have to
again?
be a board member, or does it have to be somebody?
It doesn't have to be, typically it has been. You have an appointment, the sheriff is automatic. We have 3 representatives on the authority. Sheriff is automatic, the other 2 are up to the board.
What's
So-
meeting date on that, Mr. Bo?
It varies. A lot of times it's the same date as our board meeting, but it just jumps around sometimes. They can't always meet
determines
at the
it?
same time. They basically try to stay with the 3rd Tuesday of the month, and that's a quarterly meeting, but occasionally they'll have other conflicts. Either the sheriffs, a lot of them will be having a conference or something, not be available, or there'll be some other event going on, so
I wouldn't care to serve if we could do it on Wednesday.
I can't guarantee you.
Well, you can't guarantee it on Tuesday either.
No, typically they are on Tuesdays
Yeah.
more so than not, unless it's a special call meeting. Typically they have them on Tuesdays, occasionally on a Thursday, but typically it's on Tuesday.
Kind of like Johnny Cash, one piece at a time. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I nominate Carl.
Can't do it on Wednesday.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to discourage you on it, I know what the history's been on meeting dates.
Anybody else?
I'll take anybody else.
Okay.
Got anybody in mind?
Make a motion to appoint Larry Mosley.
Second.
That mean no Wednesday. Carl, I'll give it back to you.
No, I-
You can appoint an alternate, you can have alternates for people who, if you can't be there, you can designate an alternate to serve in your place, so.
I'll do that too. Make Carl offer.
I'll go ahead and note that and let them know.
Okay, somebody nominate Larry or?
Mhm.
Tandy.
There was a motion and a second on that already.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Upper Tennessee River Roundtable.
I make a motion, we reappoint Shawna Morris to this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, Airport Engineering Consulting Contract Renewal.
Our base contract for engineering services with Delta Airport Consultants, it's a 1-year term agreement. It's renewable for 2 additional 1-year terms. The first anniversary of this was actually back in August. We'll need a formal vote to renew it for another year. There's no cost to the base agreement. Fees are derived as projects are developed, and right now we don't have any projects. This is just to continue the base agreement for another 1-year period.
Make a motion to renew contract for airport engineering consulting.
And I'll second the amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the Keoki School Sewer Treatment Plant.
Hope all of you read the memo and looked at the photo. This was a surprise to all of us, but the day before Thanksgiving, Lane Engineering oversaw the pumping of the manhole in front of this, and they put plugs into influent lines to this little package plant that was in the ground. It was then pumped, the tank of the sewer treatment plant was pumped to remove all the liquids and sludge and was hauled to PSA's facility for disposal. Effectively, that was going to close the plant. There'd be no additional wastewater coming into it, and we would be able to leave the effluent line open in order to drain any rainwater that may occur after that gathered in the tank. To verify this, before I gave final notification to DEQ, I asked Lane to confirm that everything had been done. The engineer returned back to the site on December the 3rd to make verification and discovered that because of the water saturation in the ground surrounding it, the tank basically floated up out of the ground. It hadn't been ballast, didn't have proper ballast to hold it in. That was an assumption they made, that it had been ballasted in the event that it ever was empty. But again, he indicated that there was probably 4 feet of water under it at the location where you could get up under it there. It's just a really wet area there. I don't know whether it's a wet weather spring or something that works through that area. It's still in place, and as you can see from the picture, basically the only thing that's holding it in place is that manhole is still attached to it with pipe. So the pipe is held up well. Had it not been for that, it would have come completely up out of there. But at this point, we're concerned that it may break loose from the manhole. And so we would like to go ahead and just demolish the unit. I know we've talked about leaving it there in the event that the school group or the alumni group wanted to use that in the future. But actually, for the minimal and sporadic flow that they're going to have from that building, I'm not sure the plant would have ever operated efficiently anyway, because you need continuous flow to make those things work right.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But anyway, right now, the recommendation is that the PSA had asked before if they could, if we did take it down, if they would be able to salvage some parts off of it. And I had already agreed to that. I didn't think the board would have any objection to that, to assist them, a couple of motors and some things like that they could possibly salvage. But at this point, with that thing the way it is, it needs to be taken completely out and just scrapped. Lane advised that I think E-Loop Green is going to be in the Keokee area within the next 30 to 60 days doing a demolition on a water tank up there for the PSA anyway, and we could just have them. They're widely known for doing demo work in the area, so we could have them go ahead and demo this thing out and get it out of the way. I can't give you a cost yet because I didn't know how you wanted to proceed, and basically this has just come up. No pun intended.
Yeah, literally.
But we do need to take care of the matter, and I don't know that we've got any choice at this point. To reset that thing, we would have to probably cut it loose from the manhole and the pipe, take it out of the ground, and redig that location. And with all the water that's there, it would have to be pumped and shored up just to be able to set the tank back in, even if we applied ballast to it to sink it.
This thing's supposed to be level?
It's supposed to be level. Yeah, it looks like a beach ship is what it looks like, but yeah, it should have been level.
Couldn't the Alumni Association, if they wanted to, like the pump stations we use, like for the churches and stuff, I know we've done a few.
Pumping halls.
Yeah.
I've already suggested that to Mr. Gullion. We talked about it last week. That's probably, I told him, we've got that down at the airport, and with a 2,000 gallon tank, that would last
for a long time, really.
And then he's still hopeful that the health department may work with them as far as the school on a septic system. They've got an area of ground over there near the school that you could probably get a field bed in. There's no way in the world to get a field bed approved in the area where this plant's at.
No, not if it's floating out of the ground.
This is too wet. So, I mean, at this point, I think we probably have no other choice but to go ahead and fully decommission it, which would include leveling the control building and filling the area back in.
Mr. Gillian?
Standards are, anyway, I don't know whether the county has anything that they could do to not cut that plane up to possibly and hold it for a while, that we see what we can work out. I mean, I agree with you, we'll never get it to work properly or have a septic system. My understanding, the problem that we had is the groundwater going through that, and that's from Brian Bush, that I talked with him. It's got the old terracotta pipe in it, you know, that comes in short sections, and that's how the water was getting into that place. But my idea, if we had solid sewer pipe from the school and from the gym both, that wouldn't be happening, and we could divert that water away from that. I'm going to go talk to Division of Mine and Minerals in Big Stone. My opinion and opinion of all the people I've talked to in Keokee, that was caused by the stripping on the mountain above the ball field there. It wasn't there, that water wasn't there in 1959 when I graduated, and I left Keokee in '61. And it came in later years, and probably in the late '70s. I don't know when that plant was installed. We'd have to go back to the school records, but it is definitely a swamp. I was there last Monday, I guess, the day before I talked to you, and it was actually, just a swamp in there. It was really bad.
Do you think you could find out before the next meeting, Mr. Gogan? Do you think you could have an answer on that by the next meeting?
From the Division of Mines?
Yeah.
I'll try. All I do is go try to get them there.
The issue I'm looking at, I've got a contact with DEQ that I'm holding off and giving final notification that everything's done. I haven't advised them that the tank's sitting like this now.
Could it be set aside over in that area below the gym?
Well, it could be. Well, I won't say that it could be. I don't know what the DEQ would say to it, unless it is disinfected, because it's going to be there where someone from the public could actually get to it. I mean, they have to come on the school property to do it, but with kids in the area, things of that nature, I don't know exactly how we would want to leave it. I don't know what we could do to secure it, to keep someone getting in there and getting down either into the tank, or we would have to flip it. And then if we don't scrap it now, and it's not going to be used, we'll have to go back and do that at a future time. I haven't measured it, but I don't know that you could haul it out of there intact. I don't know.
Well, I think you could, with a truck and a low-bore trailer, it'd be, because it don't appear to be over 8.5 feet.
The other issue is if we take the tank out, then we've got the issue with the hole that it came out of. They're going to tell us we have to backfill that, especially since there's standing water there, because that does create a safety issue.
Well,
You don't have to do
one
that
idea on that, and then.
We'll have to do it
anyway.
Yeah, regardless, but I'm just saying they may require that as soon as the tank,
Oh, I
if we
see.
pick the tank up and set it aside
Okay.
and hold it for 3 months or 6 months, they're probably still gonna say that area has to be backfilled and level. And I'm also concerned that the longer the tank sits there the way it is, if it starts to shift and move,
Right.
that it may,
It's a safety issue.
it may break loose in the manhole, but the influent is plugged at the manhole. If it breaks the manhole loose from that, DEQ doesn't look at it that there's no one in the school and there's no harmful wastewater coming through. There's water coming through a wastewater line, and to them, that's wastewater.
Right.
Even though we know it's I&I, but
Something you might look at, when they put the water line through Keokee recently, and I guess, I don't know whether Elton Alvarez or who did that, there's a huge pile of fine gravel just below that plant. You probably saw it when you were there. It's within 200 feet. That would fill that hole many times over. But, I don't, like I say, don't know who it belongs to, but that'd be the ideal thing to put in there.
Yeah,
Be a quick fix.
I don't know what it is. What I can do is explain the situation to DEQ again and see if I can buy another 30 days.
I got questions concerning this thing. How expensive is this thing to operate? Is it something that Stickleyville would not want to do? Be able to afford to do?
to pick it up and move it and retrofit everything, and you'd still, the equipment in the control room is probably not gonna be something that would easily move, and based on the approximate age of it, because I don't know how long it's been there, it would probably be cheaper in the long run for them to buy a new package plane that would be more efficient.
That's what I'm talking about. It does have some costs and all
Yeah, and I mean, even just the moving costs may offset whatever expense you would save in buying another new plane. I can talk to the engineers and get some cost estimates on that too.
So if, no matter what you do, you're not gonna be able to use this hole here for even a holding tank or pumping hall.
No.
No.
Because of the tight pipe that's connected to it, right? Because you'd be getting groundwater
Yeah,
coming in.
Yeah.
That's how it was explained to me, is that the reason that we were having this problem to start with. And some of the options, one option that we're looking at, and it is something that I've been in touch with Morgan Griffith's office, that we could use that school for the benefit of our veterans, and they're sending me information on that. But I'll get the information on the point from the school board if I can, and go and see when that was put in and why it was put in. And, you know.
This system's up to the gym also, right?
As far
And
as
the school.
As best we can determine, there's two lines coming into the manhole. We assume one's coming from the school and one from the gym. One was an 8-inch line, one was a 4-inch line. Both are terracotta.
I think the 4-inch line is probably just below the gym, and I know where the opening or clean out inspection or what hole is for that.
So are you guys wanting to rehook both of them? The
That's
school and
what,
the gym?
yeah, in order to be able to use it, we're gonna have to hook both of them. And, you know, probably I'm thinking we would start with the school first. But, you know, we can't have anything in the gym if we don't have sewer facilities. And that, as Mr. Poe said, you know, I think he's got the right idea as far as that tank and pumping. But that may be the only thing, the only way the health department allows to go.
So we think we're supposed to try to go 30 more days on.
Let me see if I can get them to, I'll explain the situation and what we're up against.
So we won't be back on that, do we?
No, we just take it.
Okay, Coyote Bounty update.
I just want to make you aware, the board initially provided supplemental appropriation of $1,000, which would cover 40 animals that were eligible for the bounty. Through last Tuesday, we had processed 30 claims, so after we pay 10 more, we will be out of money and the bounty will not be enforced any longer.
How far are we into the hunting season? I don't know.
Well, it's the year-round thing on the go.
Yeah, I mean, the bounty's out there, there's no season on that.
So you want us to just appropriate another $1,000?
Well, that's up to you.
Yeah, I think we need
I
to.
know, I do.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, we appropriate another $1,000 towards the Coyote Bounty program.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Okay, rural addition program.
County currently has approximately $195,000 available in VDOT Rural Addition Program funds, and you may recall the Rural Addition Program provides funds to upgrade private roads that are not currently in the state system. It brings them up to state standards and allows them to be taken into the state system for maintenance from that point forward. Any road taken into the Rural Addition Program must serve at least 3 homes per mile, and the property owners must be willing to donate any needed right-of-way or drainage easements. Even though it's been several years since we've advertised for applications, we still have several on file from each of the districts. I know districts 1 and 3 have already had some preliminary cost estimates prepared for theirs from VDOT. But if you intend to pursue any projects on this, then they will need to be evaluated by VDOT and the road bureaus with a written report submitted back to the board as to their eligibility.
You have those cost estimates with you?
I did not bring those, I'm sorry. I provided them. I think I've given them to both of you in previous months when they
Bring
emailed
them
them
with
to me, but I do not have them with me tonight.
You have a copy?
I have them down in the office.
Okay, I'll get it before we leave.
I think we can probably review them next month, maybe.
All right.
Okay, the proposed changes to the road naming ordinance.
At the November meeting, we advised that individuals seeking to change the name of their road for 911 purposes would be required to pay the cost of changing the signs. That was not correct. I misspoke that night. Currently, as the ordinance is written, it requires, in a petition to change the name of the road, requires a $25 fee. The current cost of changing sign plates is $70 per post. So if someone came in petitioning for a change, the cost to change those plates is $70. With the administrative work that's required to do it, I think a fee of $100 per request would be good. If the request is denied, you could always refund $70 of it, since that's calculated as the cost of the sign itself. And that would provide $30 towards administrative work. But in reviewing the ordinance, both Alan Bailey and I both see other areas that should probably be amended. The ordinance was adopted before the first road was ever named and prior to development of the 911 project. The proposed changes are not really that significant in nature. In some areas, it's just a matter of trying to clarify some issues. Some it's trying to bring a little bit more uniformity to the process, and some is trying to streamline it. One of the areas that we looked at trying to streamline, the way the ordinance is written now, and it's something that I don't think even has been followed, but any road, private, a new driveway that appears or whatever, has to go through the public hearing process and be approved by the Board of Supervisors. We feel like that could be streamlined with just the 911 coordinator confirming that the name is available, that it's not in conflict with the ordinance, and going ahead and approving it. But it does reserve the right for naming any new public roads to the Board of Supervisors. And if there's an issue in changing the name where there's several landowners involved and there's not agreement to do that, that issue could come to the Board of Supervisors as well. Things like that. But I'm just requesting tonight permission to schedule a public hearing next month for proposed changes to the ordinance. Or if you would rather we prepare the proposed changes and submit them to you first for review and then schedule the public hearing, we can do it that way. That's at your pleasure.
I'd like to see the changes first.
All right.
That's my opinion.
But can you not get those to us before the next meeting?
Oh, yeah, I could have them to you.
We could do it at the same time then.
Yeah.
You could get us the changes and go ahead and schedule a public hearing.
Okay, I brought a copy with me tonight, but I can't lay my hands on it right now, what I did with them.
Oh, so you already have the changes?
Yes, Al and we've already developed what we feel like needs to be changed, yeah. We're not,
Okay.
like I said, we have already reviewed it.
Okay.
There's probably just 8 or 10 changes, basically. But yeah, I can get you a copy of those before this week is out. And we can go ahead and schedule a hearing next month then.
Okay.
You need a motion on it?
No, that's fine.
Do it then.
Okay, report and recommendation from the county attorney. Okay. Report and recommendation on the county administrator.
I have a couple things. One, as Mr. James said earlier, the legislative reception is scheduled for January 22nd in Richmond. I will need to know, I'd like to know by Friday if anyone plans to attend so that we can make reservations. There's a block of rooms reserved right now. That reservation will go off on the 23rd. So if you could let me know by Friday if you plan to attend.
What was the date?
January 22nd, that will be on a Thursday. Typically, we drive up that morning and drive back the next morning. Reception starts at 5:30 usually in the afternoon. So if you'll just let me know by Friday if you want to attend. Second thing I have, I mentioned this last month and then failed to get back in the board packet, but the notification that the General Assembly recently approved action, as you know, to amend the state budget. And included in that action was a provision to reduce state aid to localities by a total of $30 million statewide for the current year. Lee County's share of that is $47,204, and it comes in 11 different areas or departments. I've got a list there of where those reductions are coming from. Most of you will recall the state took similar action in 4 previous budget years. Unfortunately, fortunately for us, in those years, they took that action when they adopted the original budget, and so we knew it when we were preparing ours. This year, they're doing it mid-year, so we didn't have opportunity to plan for this in our budget. So we have to give them notification by January 1 to elect to either allow them to reduce our payments or for us to make payment directly to the state for that amount. In years past, when they've made these reductions, we have elected to pay the full amount. It's a little bit cleaner, a little easier to deal with accounting-wise rather than having those cuts taken sporadically month by month and have to go through the process of reconciling that. But since this is not budgeted, I would request the board approve a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $47,204 to Fund 1, State Revenue Reduction Reimbursement. The line item is listed in the memo, with the source of revenue being general fund reserves.
I have a real problem with that. Me too. They're gonna keep taking money, expecting us to pay it when we don't have any resources to get it from.
I'll agree.
It just irritates me. That, you know, they set up there in Richmond and pass this stuff and send it down to localities. I mean, here, one of the poorest counties in the state, you know.
What is that based on? Where do they come up with these numbers?
Again, it's $30 million statewide, so it basically works down as a prorated share to each county based on the percentages of the amount that they get to begin with in each of those areas.
If we don't do anything, they're just gonna take it out as they need it.
If we don't do anything, they'll withhold it from our rolling stock and deed reputation taxes. They'll get it.
It's not fair, we probably don't have a choice either.
And will they take it out over 6 months or over the full year?
One time.
If it's available, I'd say it'll come out at the first available time that there's that much money to be reimbursed to us during that month. Again, we've never taken it on that basis. We've always just, it's, like I say, it's easier and cleaner for us to just write the check and be done with it, rather than reconcile that over 11 different departments.
I still got a bad taste in my
I do
mouth
too.
doing that before.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
They
say,
did it for 4 years straight
I know.
during the budget process. I mean, this
I know.
isn't the first time. And we've gotten away from it. Last year, we didn't have that for the first time in several years. And then because of the revenue forecast at the state level not being what they had intended, they've come back in balancing with transportation. They've come back and used this again to help balance their budget.
what would be the difference in writing one check versus if they take out $20,000 in January, just do an adjustment to $20,000 against general fund reserve?
what they'll do, they'll reduce the amount of
They
money that
reduce the
they're
amount of
sending down.
reimbursement coming back to us. We still don't have the money to operate those departments at full revenue because we won't have full revenue coming in. We'll have to have a supplemental appropriation
For each
to
department.
11 departments then, rather than just to this one line item at some point during the budget year. Well, not to all 11 because 2 of them are just revenue line items, but the other 9, we would have to have supplements for because we will not have the revenue to cover it.
Guess I feel like if we write a check, we're just saying, okay, here you go, we've got it, you can have it. Versus if we just wait and if they want it, make them take it. That's the way I feel about it.
But you
Doesn't
got-
really matter.
No, they're gonna get it one way or the
They're gonna
other.
get it either way.
And I think, you know, the more you buck, the more you get punished on other items too, so. And they know that.
Well, it's not really bucking. I mean, that's doing what they're just gonna do. That's how they propose to do it, right?
Well,
Give you a choice.
there's 2 choices. You can elect either way.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, we just January write a check. Pay will be done. I mean, they're gonna take it one way or the other. Mr. Bowe stated numerous times it's cleaner to do it this way for accounting purposes, and we pay it. We're giving them back the money that they gave us, which isn't right, but they're gonna get it one way or the other.
Makes the accounting easier on you guys, so.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. You're not punishing the state
Punishing you.
by not making the lump sum payment. You just punish the employees for having to deal with the extra paperwork of reconciling that every time that payment gets cut out.
So, all right, second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
It don't mean we like it though.
I can't oppose the second motion again.
And the only other thing I have is the request for closed session, and that will be for acquisition of property and personnel.
Someone to do the honors.
Yeah, I can. Make a motion, we go into closed session for Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A. Did you say real property?
Acquisition of property and
A3 for
Personnel.
acquisition of real property and A1 personnel.
Second.